All right, here we are, SAT 22. Week 13 is first one, 2025. It is a regular multiple choice question. Let's take a look. 1 gallon of paint will cover 220 square feet of surface. A room has a total wall area of W square feet. Which equation represents the total amount of paint P in gallons needed to paint the walls of the room twice? Okay, so how did we do on this? What do you think? So you can take a look here. The blue one, answer choice A, that is actually the correct answer. We got just shy of the 60%, definitely the majority of us. That's what we chose. And the other one we're kind of split between the B, C, and D, with orange, which is C, getting the most number of votes as far as like the wrong answers go. And we overall thought it was a pretty easy question, easy to medium. You can see that um, it's about 30, 60, about 90% ish. Said that it was at least medium there, but definitely heavily skewed towards the easier side. So here, let's take a look at the actual solution, shall we? Okay, so I'm going to set up a conversion factor basically. And this is 1 gallon of paint is going to cover 220 square feet. This is going to be our conversion factor. So 1 gallon is equal to 220 square feet. Okay. The room has a total area of W square feet, so this is what we have to paint, and we're going to paint that thing twice. And P in gallons is going to be how much paint we need to paint that room twice. So the area here, well, it would be just W square feet if we were going to paint it once, but we're going to paint it twice, so it's going to be 2W feet squared. Okay, so keep that in mind. And now let's see. So this is basically a unit conversion here. I know it seems like it's a geometry question on the surface, but really it boils down to just a unit conversion. It's just like if I had, say, 24 feet and I wanted to turn that into inches or something like that, right? So usually with a unit conversion, what you're doing is you're trying to decide, do I have to multiply or do I have to divide? Okay, so here let's think about this for just a second. Let's say that I had 220 square feet to exactly cover. How many gallons of paint would I need? Well, I would need exactly 1 gallon because that's the conversion factor. That is right here. Okay, so let's say that I have 440 square feet. How many gallons would that take? Well, I'm pretty sure that's going to take 2 gallons here. So 2 gallons, because each one of these, each 220, of which there's two of them in here, each 220 is 1 gallon. And notice here, well, here, let's try maybe one more. Let's say that I had 660 square feet. Well, how many 220s go into this? And you can see what I'm doing here is I'm basically dividing this thing by 220. So dividing this by 220 gives us 3 gallons, right? Now, if you just look at your answer choices here, there's only one that says that we're dividing something by 220, and it makes it seem like it should be this answer choice C, but that's not exactly correct. Okay, so now let me kind of generalize how we usually do unit conversion. So it really takes out all of the guesswork here. So really what's happening is that you're taking your number of, let's say I say X square feet here, and then we're going to multiply it by a conversion factor written as a fancy one. And that fancy one is going to be a fraction. And that fraction, instead of writing it like this as an equation like this, we're just going to put one of them over the other one. It could be 1 gallon over 220 square feet, or it could be the other way around. So let me just show you what I'm talking about. Let's say that I put 220 square feet on the top, and then I put 1 gallon on the bottom. And what happens here is like you do basically algebra with your units. You'd have feet squared times feet squared, all divided by gallons, which is feet to the fourth per gallon. What's that? I haven't a clue. So that means that we have our conversion factor here basically upside down. So that's okay. I'll just flip this thing around like this, right? Yep. Perfect. That's silly. Okay, so now let's put our conversion factor with the feet squared on the bottom. That's usually what you do. Whatever it is that you're trying to get rid of, that's the thing you're going to divide by, and then it's going to be 1 gallon up top. So now, again, doing the algebra with the units, treating them as if they're variables, feet squared and feet squared are just going to cancel each other out. And you can see what we have here is basically x gallons over 220. And there's no feet squared because they canceled out. Okay, but it's not x gallons that we're going to convert. What we have to convert here is to W. So I'm just going to basically do the same thing. I'm going to take this 2W right here. I'm going to multiply it times our conversion factor so that the square feet cancels out. So it's 220 square feet on the bottom. And then the 1 gallon up top. And just like before, our square feet are going to cancel out. And then you could treat this as if it's two fractions, multiply top times top and bottom times bottom. And I would have 2W gallons over 220. And that's not an answer choice because they have reduced it. Notice that everything here is even. Everything is divisible by 2, so I can divide the top by 2. I can divide the bottom by 2, and I would get W over 110, which is answer choice A. Yay! All right, so this technique of doing this unit conversion by multiplying by fancy 1, you'll absolutely do it a whole bunch in 10th grade chemistry. It's called dimensional analysis, and it's a very, I guess, useful kind of tool. And you're going to, whenever you get into the science class, you're actually going to take this to the next level. And it's not just going to be a single unit conversion, it's going to be multiple conversions within a single problem. But this is just using a single one. Now, let's look at what some of the answer choices might have been if you had chosen, let's say, for example, answer choice C, which was rather popular, right? So let's go back over here to the web, and we said answer choice C was our next runner up. So answer choice C, where we would have gotten that thing from, is just forgetting that we had 2 of those W's to paint. And so we wouldn't have reduced it, we would have had W over that 220, which is what we were just talking about over here, or like right over here, right? And then the other ones are just multiplying by our number instead of dividing by our number whenever we go to do our unit conversion. All right, so that should wrap it up for this week's SAT question.